Alright, welcome to our first round with the Aspect Aggro deck here. Sand's missing a Wild Threshold. Got 15 of them in the deck, and we've got like plenty of things to do with this hand, even if we don't hit the Wild Threshold. And, like, if we hit the Wild by like 3, an Underworld Crusader with Skyguard Steadfast is very good against McBombus, so just gonna go ahead and lead on Deathseeker here. We probably want to play... Yazukan's Fanatic's probably a little bit less than stellar in this matchup because our opponent has a lot of X1s, so we'll see what they play here. We probably want to play Dread Botanist on 2 if they have a Thunder Field Seer here on 1, which they do. I guess I could just offer this trade here, because like this isn't going to attack into much anyways. Yeah, a lot of our X1s are pretty mediocre in this matchup. Hey, look, a Wild Threshold. That makes it easier. We're just going to play Determined Ibushi on 2 here. Yeah, I'm just going to offer this trade because if I'm offering the trade, that means that they won't be able to trigger the last card's vengeance that could be in their hand, which I think is worthwhile. Like, it's not a good trade for us since that's eventually going to draw a card, but I think this is fine. Determined Bushy, Draft All-Star, 2/2, Crush for 2. Every time it diligences, it gets +1/+1 permanently. By that, I mean it eats a cremate and it dies. Do you have another follow-up here? 10 out of 10 playing this Underworld Crusader next turn. Skyguard and Steadfast is fantastic. Hey, Aspect of the Squirrel. Aspect of the Squirrel is actually a little bit less than good against McBombus because our opponent has access to Transmogrifade, which sucks a little bit. That being said, like, this is game 1, so Aspect of the Squirrel's still on our deck, so I'm probably just putting the Aspect on here and just, like, trying to race my opponent as quickly as possible. If they have a Transmogrifade, they probably want to use it here so they can attack through my Crusader. Yep. Yep, into the 0-4 it goes. Thankfully, like, the first Transmogrifade getting used there means they're less likely to have, you know, a follow-up Transmogrifade for whatever I put Aspect of the Squirrel on here. Let's just go ahead and play Century of Nulzan. Oh, you know what? I probably should have led on... this, because now if I hit a resource, which I didn't, yeah, I'll just play the Sharpshooter out here. It's possible I should, like, play the Dread Botanist on, like, wait a turn to sacrifice the Dreadling, but, like, the 0-4 is not doing a whole lot there. Gallows Guest is pretty good. This card gets bigger every time a troop dies while this is in our hand, so... Oh, I can scrounge this already. That's hot. Alright, well, let's scrounge the 3 of these, and then put my Aspect of the Squirrel on here, which makes this +3/+3. Hopefully they don't have another Transmogrifade. But Aspect of the Squirrel says scrounge 3 creates another Aspect of the Squirrel, so even after this goes on here, we're going to get another Aspect in our hand with a random gem in it. Burn's not legal in this format. They could have something like Pyre Strike here, I suppose, to punish this, but this, like, created a 1-drop. They have Riposte in their main deck. That's strange. That's not something I'm ever playing around game 1. Weird. Okay. That's a pretty big feel bad. They're gonna get to put that on here now and then just, like, beat us down. So this is just a 4/4 now. Unfortunately, it doesn't have, they don't get the socketed ability of it, but they do just have a 4/4 Bumblebot, which kind of sucks for us. There's Warp Steel Shard Sworn. another aspect of the scroll. So I think we're just doing this and then playing Dread Botanist this turn. And then I can actually attack in with this Sentry too, because it counts as a 1-drop attacking, so this turns into a 3/3 for us. Says, let's both get bigger when they play an action, so they take 4 here. I'm gonna go ahead and play Dread Botanist out and pass the turn. We're kind of, like, if they have a couple of actions here and a resource, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. If they have Lasgar's Vengeance, we're just, like, never beating that card at this point in the game. Definitely need to bring in our copies of Withering Gaze for the Lasgar's Vengeance decks. Yep. And, like, unfortunately, this got fairly large here, but, like, at this point, our opponents just got too much pressure on the table, and we just missed too many resource drops here. So, when we head to reserves, I'm going to cut this Gallows Cast. I'm going to cut... Yazukan's Fanatic seems a little mediocre. Aspect of the Squirrel seems pretty bad, especially with the main deck Rapace. This last Runeer, one of these Runeers has Crushing It by default. I'm going to switch to Speed in that since I boarded out the Gallows Cast. The Withering Gazes sound fantastic. Gemborn Prowler is actually probably marginally better than Yazukan's Fanatic, just because this card can void half of a Gemborn Prowler. Or void half of, or the other idiot's called, Warp Steel Shard Sworn. I think that's all I want to do. I think I want to leave in the copies of Century of Nulzan just because they can make our aggressive lines much better. Go first here. That sounds fine. It's got Withering Gaze and 2 Underworld Crusader. It's got Cheap Shot in the middle. Bleed on this. The question is, do I want a Withering Gaze in one? I feel... Yeah, I probably just do. We could, like, possibly catch an Arcane Focus out of their hand here, rather than, like, really leave them stumbling. They have Transmogrifade and a Lasgar's Vengeance here, but they're pretty far off of this Vengeance. Honestly, I'm just going to take this Transmogrifade because this Crusader is going to apply a lot of pressure. Good and Cheap Shot this to start, see what we conscript. Keep them off of the assault triggers for as long as possible. Beer Punch Spy is pretty good. It's the 1/1 that when it dies, it transforms into a Phantom. And then hopefully we hit a resource next turn so we can play our Underworld Crusader out. Alright, sweet. So we didn't hit the second blood threshold, so unfortunately we can't hero fall or activate our champion power just yet, but we can just go ahead and put out our Underworld Crusader here. So 10 out of 10, just going to go ahead and play this out. I'm actually going to go ahead, this was poor sequencing on my part. I'm going to ship with the Spiritbound Spy, and the reason being, if my opponent wants to trade here, I'm happy with that, because if they're attacking next turn, they're probably playing an action anyways. Okay, these, they all get bigger when my opponent plays an action. Well done. Hopefully we hit our blood threshold here soon. That's like the stone worst straw in the deck. Like, not only is it not what we're looking for, but it's just like another wild threshold that we'll just never need. And there's a reason why we have slightly more blood than wild in the deck. So we've got 17 blood and only 15 wild. I'm just going to pass the turn here. We're going to use this to void one of their dorks here, and then probably play this out next turn if we don't hit something else that's better. So, I am just going to go ahead and void one of these here, just so that way I have something to do with this next turn. In case we, like, draw another brick here, a card we can't play, or another, yeah, just like that. Let's go and attack here with this. Opponent mulliganed and is stumbling, and we're kind of stuck on thresholds here, so kind of an interesting game where both players are just, like, playing from behind. That being said, we know our opponent has a Lasgar's Vengeance in their hand, so at any point here, they're going to be able to... pull ahead a little bit once they start hitting their ruby threshold. So Lasgar's Vengeance is thankfully ruby to play out. But, you know, like they're like one Transmogre Fate away from really pulling ahead here. And I guess to start triggering Lasgars, they're going to have to attack their troops in, but still not in a stellar position here. If we can hit our blood, we can, like, sack the Spirit Bomb Spider, draw another card, and then, like, have Hero Falls up and feel pretty good about that. Yep. Now the question is, are they going to attack with these to tick their Lasgar's Vengeance down? They could attack with all of these, and then if they hit a ruby threshold next turn, they can play the Lasgars out. Okay, yep. Oh, that's pretty bad beats. I'm just going to lead on attacking with this in case they want to, like, trade two of their guys for it. We could draw a blood threshold, possibly. Wow, okay, and then on this block here, we 10 out of 10 just want to kill their four 1/1s. Yeah, I would much rather kill all four of these so they have a harder time taking their Lasgar's Vengeance down than anything else here. Wow, what rough beats. Alright, at least we hit the Withering Gaze to take this Lasgar's Vengeance away that we know is here. Watch it just be like double Lasgars. That one draws a card, but Lasgar's is definitely the scarier of the two. I guess we'll go ahead and play this out and then pass back. Jacob Jeffrey. Can Dad have Uncle Matt's bag, please? Ugh. Pass the turn back here. Their Bumblebot can start attacking here. At least until we hit a blood threshold and can sacrifice this to turn it into a phantom and draw a card, gain some life. They drew a Blamsmith. That's really good. Okay, so now we really need to draw a... Yep. Hopefully they attack with both of these so we can double block this one. Oh, okay. I believe in blood. What a tilt. Just like... you know, games have variance by design, and sometimes that's just... it's just gonna be how it goes. We're still not in a terrible spot. We've got a good life total, and like if we hit blood, hopefully we don't just flat out after that. We've drawn a lot of resources, and most of them wild. Alright, I'm just going to double up here. We know their last card is Cremate. It's a good aggressive attack from my opponent. Hopefully they don't Cremate this. They're probably going to. I'd prefer if they didn't, but, you know. It almost certainly means they should. Wow, okay, so if we draw blood here, we can kill this, hit them with this, get rid of the Blam Sack, and then sack this to gain a life. Oh, that's very frustrating. Naive Lackey's a good hit at least. Means it gives us something to chump with, so we can draw another card and hopefully find our blood thresholds here. Yep. Okay. Jump block here. Take her 1. Alright, draw another card that's not a blood threshold. Yeah, that's good castable though. Good quality castable. See if they have a cremate or a follow-up here. Yep, kill that. They draw a card, because that was prophesized from Thunderfields here earlier. Shards for sure. Come on, come on. One more hit for blood. If we hit a blood, we are still in this game somehow. Oh, I have to laugh, because if I didn't, I'd cry. Maybe their last card's a resource, and there's a resource on top of their deck, and then we can stay in this. I'm attacking with this, because I can't really afford to block with it, because if I block with it, I don't have a way to clean up the Blam Sack after I Hero Fall this Blam Smith. Just don't have an action. Don't have an action. Are we actually just dead here? Yeah, we're just dead. Alright, well, you know. Bad beats, but that's how it goes. If you can't lose games like this, you shouldn't play TCG. So we'll be back with the next round here in just a minute. Hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck in the second match here than 8 resources and 16 cards, 7 of them being wild thresholds.